Once upon a time, in the heart of Abuja, there lived a noble prince named Danjuma. Despite his royal lineage, Danjuma longed for something beyond the grand halls of his father's palace, which sat majestically atop Aso Rock. His parents, the king and queen of the Jabi Kingdom, had tried countless times to arrange marriages with daughters of powerful noble families, hoping their son would settle down. But Danjuma was determined to find a love rooted in sincerity, untainted by wealth or status. To escape the constraints of palace life, Danjuma devised a clever plan. He disguised himself in simple worn clothing and wrapped his head in a dusty turban, allowing only his sharp, intense eyes to peer through. Disguised as a wanderer, he roamed the bustling streets of Wuse Market, where locals sold everything from fresh peppers to handmade fabrics. One afternoon, as he strolled through the market pretending to be a beggar, Danjuma noticed a young woman named Zainab, known throughout the village for her kindness and beauty. She was the daughter of a humble weaver, and she often helped her mother sell their wares. Zainab's laughter rang through the air as she engaged with children playing nearby, and Danjuma was instantly captivated by her warmth and humility. When Zainab noticed the strange man behaving oddly, she didn't shy away. Instead, she approached him with curiosity. "Why do you dance in the middle of the market as if the whole world is yours?" she asked with a playful smile. "Why not?" Danjuma replied with a grin. "Life is too short to take everything so seriously." Together they laughed and shared stories as the market buzzed around them. As days passed, Danjuma and Zainab grew closer, and he cherished every moment they spent together. She had no idea that the humble stranger was actually the Prince of Jabi Kingdom. Back in the palace, however, the king and queen were growing anxious about Danjuma's frequent absences. The queen worriedly paced the grand hall, adorned with intricate carvings and decorated with artifacts from the rich culture of Abuja. They feared their son's unconventional ways would bring shame to the royal family. As weeks passed, the palace prepared for a grand festival, where Danjuma would be formally introduced to a noblewoman his parents had chosen. Unaware of the plans, Danjuma continued his secret visits to the market, spending time with Zainab, who remained blissfully ignorant of his true identity. But one day, while they were laughing near the bank of Jabi Lake, a well-dressed nobleman from the palace recognized Danjuma and greeted him with a respectful bow. Zainab watched, puzzled as Danjuma's identity began to unravel. Would Danjuma reveal the truth to Zainab, risking everything to win her love? Or would he return to the palace and fulfill his royal duties, forever haunted by the memory of the girl who knew him only as a wandering stranger? As the nobleman bowed, Danjuma's heart pounded. Zainab's eyes were fixed on him, curiosity and confusion mingling in her gaze. With a gentle but urgent gesture, Danjuma waved the nobleman away, who reluctantly disappeared back into the crowd with a respectful nod. The moment left a thick silence hanging between Danjuma and Zainab. "Danjuma," she said softly, her voice questioning but calm. "Who are you really? And why would someone bow to you like that?" Danjuma hesitated, the weight of his hidden truth pressing on him. He had been enjoying the freedom of being seen as just a regular man and feared that revealing his true identity would change everything. He knew he couldn't lie to her, but he also knew the consequences of the truth. I come from a place not far from here," he replied carefully, his gaze meeting hers. "My family holds certain expectations for me, and I needed to escape those expectations if only for a while." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the full truth either. Zainab tilted her head, studying him. "So you've been hiding from who you truly are then?" she asked, her voice gentle but direct. "What is it you're running from?" Danjuma took a deep breath. "I'm not running, Zainab. I just wanted to find something real, something that wasn't bound by status or wealth." He paused, unsure of how much more he could reveal without losing her trust. Meeting you, it has been more meaningful to me than you can imagine. She looked away for a moment, her expression thoughtful. Well, she said finally, I don't know who you really are, but I know the Danjuma I've come to know, the one who laughs with the children, dances in the market and speaks with kindness. If that's the real you, then that's enough for me. Danjuma felt a swell of relief and gratitude, but before he could respond, a loud horn sounded in the distance, echoing over the lake. The royal festival preparations had begun, and the palace servants and villagers were gathering near Aso Rock to celebrate. As much as Danjuma wanted to stay hidden, he knew his presence would be demanded at the event. He dreaded leaving Zainab, but he had little choice. Zainab, he began, his voice heavy with reluctance. There's a celebration today and I've been invited. But I want to see you again soon. Will you meet me here by the lake tomorrow? Zainab smiled, nodding. I'll be here, she said, her voice warm. But go now, before you get yourself into trouble. Danjuma grinned and reluctantly took his leave, disappearing back into the path that led to the palace. As he neared the grand hall, the palace guards and servants bustled around him, preparing for the evening's festivities. His parents, the king and queen, awaited him in the throne room, their expressions a mix of pride and apprehension. My son, the king said, his voice filled with authority. Tonight is a pivotal moment for you. We've chosen a young woman of noble birth for you to meet, one who would be a suitable match. Danjuma's heart sank. He had no interest in being introduced to yet another noblewoman, especially now that his mind was filled with thoughts of Zainab. Father, I appreciate your efforts, but I've told you before, I want to find my own path, my own love. The queen sighed, her face etched with concern. Danjuma, we only want what is best for you. Love is important, yes, but duty to your kingdom is as well. Danjuma bit his tongue, knowing that arguing further would be futile. He would endure the evening for the sake of his family, but his heart remained with Zainab by the lake. The royal banquet hall glittered with golden tapestries and chandeliers, and noble families from all around the region filled the space. Laughter and music echoed through the hall as servants served platters of jollof rice, spicy soups, and roasted meats. The evening passed in a blur of polite introductions and forced smiles. At one point, a young woman named Aisha was introduced to Danjuma. She was beautiful, with delicate features and dressed in the finest Ankara fabric, but her gaze was cold and distant. She spoke of luxury and status, hardly showing interest in anything beyond palace life. Danjuma's thoughts drifted back to Zainab and the simplicity of her laughter. The more he listened to Aisha's self-important words, the more he longed for the genuine warmth he had felt with Zainab. Hours later, as the festivities finally began to wane, Danjuma excused himself and slipped away into the night, relieved to be free from the constraints of royal expectations. He returned to the lake under the star-studded sky, hoping to clear his mind. The silence of the night was a balm to his soul, and he felt closer to Zainab even in her absence. But as he gazed at the water's reflection, he wondered how much longer he could keep his dual life hidden. The following morning, Danjuma returned to Jabi Lake, his heart racing in anticipation. Zainab was already there, sitting by the shore, watching the sunlight dance across the water. When she saw him, her face lit up with a warm smile, and Danjuma felt his worries melt away. They spent hours talking, sharing their dreams and hopes. Danjuma felt he could finally be himself with her, free from the expectations of the palace. But as the sun began to set, he knew he could no longer keep his secret. Zainab, he said softly, his voice thick with emotion, there's something I haven't told you. I am not who you think I am. Zainab's smile faded, replaced with a look of confusion. What do you mean, Danjuma? He took a deep breath, gathering his courage. I am Prince Danjuma, the heir to the Jabi Kingdom. I disguised myself as a commoner to escape the palace and find something real, something true. And I found you. For a moment, Zainab was silent, processing his words. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady, though her eyes shone with hurt. So, you've been lying to me all along? Danjuma felt a pang of guilt. I never meant to deceive you, Zainab. I just wanted to see if someone could love me for who I am, not for my title. Zainab turned away, gazing out over the lake. Danjuma, I thought I knew you. I thought you were someone who understood me, someone who valued honesty and simplicity. She paused, her voice barely a whisper. How can I trust you now? Danjuma reached out, his hand trembling. Please, Zainab. I understand if you're angry, but my feelings for you are real. I never felt this way about anyone before. Zainab took a step back, looking him in the eyes with a mix of sorrow and resolve. Danjuma, love built on lies cannot stand. You might be a prince, but I am just a simple girl from the village. I have my pride and my principles. I cannot be with someone who does not trust me with the truth. The words pierced Danjuma's heart, and he felt the weight of his actions settle heavily on his shoulders. He wanted to plead, to make her understand, but he saw the determination in her eyes. Zainab's trust had been broken, and he realized that trust, once shattered, was difficult to rebuild. With a final, lingering look, Zainab turned and walked away, leaving Danjuma standing alone by the lake. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a soft glow over the water as Danjuma watched her figure disappear into the distance. As he stood there, he understood the consequences of his choices. He had sought true love, yet his actions had led to heartbreak. In that quiet moment, he realized a few important lessons. Honesty is the foundation of true love. Danjuma had wanted to be loved for who he was, but by hiding his identity, he had denied Zainab the chance to love him honestly. Relationships built on lies cannot endure. Trust is precious and fragile. Trust, once broken, is difficult to repair. Danjuma's decision to deceive Zainab ultimately cost him the chance to be with her. True love requires courage and transparency. In his desire to be loved as a common man, Danjuma had been afraid to reveal his true self. But love is only real when both people are fully known to each other. Status and titles mean little when it comes to the heart. Danjuma realized that his royal title could not shield him from the pain of lost love. True love transcends wealth and position. It is about connecting with someone on a genuine level. Heartbroken but wiser, Danjuma returned to the palace, forever changed by the lessons he learned from Zainab. He resolved to lead with honesty and humility, hoping that one day he might find someone who would accept him for who he truly was, without secrets or deception. And as the years passed, the people of Jabi Kingdom spoke of the prince who once roamed the markets in search of love, a story that served as a timeless reminder of the power of truth and the value of trust.